All right, everybody? All right, everybody, let's get started our regular meeting. In accordance with the order of the Office of the Governor issued on March 16, 2020, the City Council of Cotulla, Texas will hold a regular meeting at 7 p.m. Thursday, March 11, 2021 at the Alexander Convention Center, 290 North IH 35, Access Road, Cotulla, Texas. Council will have the option to attend in person or conference call. The citizens of Cotulla will also be able to listen in the meeting by video conference. Public comments will only be accepted in writing no later than 30 minutes in advance of the meeting, sent to Bianca, the City Secretary, at biancam.citysecretary@gmail.com. Roll call. It looks like everybody's present today. I want to thank you all for that. Thank you all for coming in. And then will everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Citizens to be heard. In order to limit the number of people in attendance per Governor's order, public comments will only be accepted in writing no later than 30 minutes in advance of the meeting by sending them to City Secretary Bianca Maldonado at biancam.citysecretary@gmail.com. City Council cannot discuss on any present issue or may any action be taken on any issue at this time. Is there any citizens to be heard? All right, well, moving on to the departmental and committee reports.
We have submitted written reports on all the departments. The only one that you don't have is going to be a verbal report because we had a lot of items to report, and we're still trying to recover from the winter storm. And that's going to be David Wright with the Wastewater Department.
David, you have the report on those challenges?
Yeah, a little bit. Hi, Mayor, Council. I'm gonna start off with the water, and I'm gonna start off with. We had an inspection today for the TCEQ. We had an investigator, Erica Solis, come out and did a standard investigation that they do every 2 years. Just want to say that we did fairly well. There was a few little issues that she found. It was items that have never been spoken about before, so it's something that she wants to do, I guess, as an addition, or they've changed the requirements. When the TCEQ comes, you know, their budget is 60% violations. That's the way they run that organization. So they're always going to find something no matter how good you have it. So today she mentioned that SCBAs, they want to have them at all of our water wells. Forced ventilation at our water wells and our chlorine rooms, which is something we've just never ever had before. And there was a little bit of issue with a fence. Nothing major, you know. It was kind of small stuff. Went well, and she left. We did samples. She checked everything, and everything was good.
Did we get fined, or did we get ample time to fix?
No fines.
Excellent.
No fines. So.
They give you a time limit on that?
Yes, but next she's going to, and she hasn't written out the exit interview yet.
No.
I will receive the exit interview next week, and then she'll give us a time limit of 30 to 60 days. I'll be, if we have to, I'll be able to ask for an extension, and we'll get it taken care of.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, so Winter Storm Yuri. I know you have agenda item for that, but concerning the water department, wastewater, or water department right now, I just want to mention that in that 3-day period after we received power back, after we got the water running, the city crews responded to 250 calls. Either these were service calls or these were texts that came directly to my phone, you know, for us to respond to. It was very hectic afterwards. You know, in the beginning, when the water's not flowing, nobody's really calling for leaks and stuff like that. So I just wanted to bring that out there. You know, in the agenda item, I'm sure the other aspects of it will come out, you know, as far as the totals and dollar amount. Our water line to the airport. The water line, the original project is complete. We have one change order that is also complete, which is a water main that's running to the new tower that we're gonna build. That is complete. There's a matter of 5 taps at the airport that are not complete. But the original project is completed out. The change order number 2 and number 3 they're working on, which is the taps. And we should have that done here very soon, within probably next week. So. Okay, also, spring break, the school's out next week. The city has been attempting to put in a 1,700 foot of line, 8-inch, from Choctaw Street all the way down to Leonard Street, or the street right before Leonard, Magnolia, I believe it's Magnolia. We've been waiting for the school to let out. So next week is spring break, and we're gonna begin that project. And what we're gonna need to do, the reason we've been waiting, we need to put a valve to be able to control the flow, you know, where we're gonna work at. So they're gonna put that valve next week, and we'll be able to isolate that line and where the school will not have any issues with water when they come back in the session. Right. During the project, there's gonna be a few days where there's gonna be sporadic outages for the elementary school and the middle school. We've notified them already, they're aware that it's gonna happen, okay? Okay, extension, water tower. Okay, the new water tower that we're gonna be putting over at the Public Works yard. We're gonna have a pre-construction meeting on March 17th for that project to kick off. And I've been told that mobilization will be on March 22nd when they start bringing in the equipment and doing the foundation work for the tower itself. Okay, so as far as water, that's what I have right now. Wastewater is kind of short. Some of that can be addressed during the Yuri agenda item, but we have one return pump that it's not related to the storm. One of our return pumps between the clarifiers, bearings have gone out in it. The life expectancy of the pump is 5 years, and the pump is 7 years old. It was a cheap pump that they put there. We got a quote, and the city issued a PO for $7,900 for a new pump. So I'm waiting for it to be delivered, and city staff is going to install it.
Is that a submersible or what?
No, this one's not a submersible. It's one of those Gorman. It's replacing a hydromatic, and we're going to put in a Gorman. We have hydromatics we've had in town for a long time. 4 to 6 years, they're no good. They're already ruined. We've attempted to rebuild them with no success on rebuilds. So at this point, it's been recommended that we just replace them. Gorman rub pump. We have Gorman rubs that have been here for longer than I have, you know, in excess of 15 years, and I've had a problem with them, you know, except they get clogged and we clean them out like every other pump.
The impellers.
That's right. So price difference, you know, $5,000 to $6,000 for the hydromatic, and we're paying $8,000 for a Gorman rub that lasts 4 times or maybe even more. You know, I haven't had one break yet. You know, so it's worth it.
You get a lot of solids in there?
We do. We get a lot of grease, noodle wrappers, baby wipes, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mainly it's baby wipes. That's the big issue nowadays. But, so, okay, return pump replacement. And really on the wastewater, everything in normal operation has been fairly well. We've had to clean out pumps once or twice a month, but we've been doing really well with the wastewater. So, and that's all I have for the wastewater. I was gonna say a little about the generators that we have on site, but you know, because we're gonna have to start doing well, we've been doing it yearly, but we may need to have a better frequency of service on the generators. You know, maybe more than once a year. So that's something that may come back to us here in the future, and that we're working on. So, and when we had the storm, the generators, you know, some of them ran and some of them didn't. You know, and we checked them out and stuff like that, and when it was time for the need, it didn't happen. So I had to bring somebody in for that and scrambling to get them running. Fortunately, in wastewater, you know, if the water's not flowing, I have no wastewater flow.
Yeah.
So that kind of saved us there, but You know, we need to do a little more than once a year, I think, so. Okay, and that's what I conclude for the wastewater. The gas department, okay, I think we talked last time we were here about the gas leak on Pool Street. So we dug that gas leak out, and we discovered that the iron line or the steel line that's in the ground is pitted pretty good around the area where the gas leak is. We dug out 2 more spots, 30 feet on each side of the leak, and we found good line. But the recommendation is that we need to actually replace that main there in that area, 150 feet of it, especially if we're getting ready to put a lot of money into infrastructure on that road.
Is that a
We
2
don't
inch or
wanna-
a 4 inch? Is that a 2 inch or a 4 inch?
It's a 2 inch there. And actually where it's leaking, there's a tap with a 3/4 inch tap that crosses the street. The leak is maybe a foot away from the tap, and it's very pitted in that area. So we're actually, this type of project may be a little bit out of what the city can do. I just don't have a lot of confidence dealing with the gas that we will complete the project properly. So I did go out for quotes, and I have one company that gave us a quote, and we're gonna put that quote on the next agenda meeting. And I will say it's at $14,500 to do the work.
How many feet?
150 feet, and there's only one connection. Another aspect is that the new line that goes in is gonna be plastic. It's gonna be a poly line,
Yeah.
because the Railroad Commission does not allow us to put metal in the ground for gas anymore.
Yeah.
So it is gonna be a piece of poly between 2 pieces of metal,
Man.
so. Okay. Miller Brothers, they're doing a project out on the IH-35 access road where they're relocating the gas line for TxDOT in preparation of all the construction that TxDOT's gonna do out there. I talked to them yesterday, and they are all but complete. They've done all the connections to the businesses, and at this point, they're cleaning up what they've done, and I think they have maybe one more connection to do. But we're planning next week to do a walkthrough on that project and, see their progress and see that they're finished. So, and really, that's all I have for the gas at the moment.
The water tank, that he's talking about, where we're gonna have the pre-construction meeting, we wanna have a groundbreaking, ceremony, so that the city can get some publicity that it's doing these improvements. We are wanting to see when the mayor and the council wants to have the groundbreaking. We can do it some afternoon, more for a photo opportunity. We're gonna have some shovels that we use that we painted with gold coloring, and we put red ribbon on them, so that we can take pictures and do a press release to the newspaper to show that this water tank is gonna start getting constructed at this particular location. And so if you would let us know what days are good for you and what times of the day are good for you, so that we can try to get a consensus, so that we can get everybody to make that happen. And if you would call Georgia or Bianca with that information, we can go ahead and schedule it and then let you know when that is gonna occur. We also are gonna have a change order on that particular project before it gets started. We had previously talked about putting in, since it's close to the high school, we had talked about putting the Cotulla Cowboy logo on it, and they're proposing to do some lettering with it. And I believe the cost is somewhere around $10,000 to $12,000 that we're gonna do in order to try to get some more community pride in the structures that we have. And but we will bring that to you at the next meeting. We're gonna have another meeting in 2 weeks, because we have several important issues that need to be done in order for us to continue other projects. And one of the most important things is the gas line that David just talked about.
Yeah. And that logo, it's set to be at the size is 10 by 10 is what they're gonna
That's
paint
what
that
it
logo.
is. 10 by 10.
10 by 10. Yeah.
Was it true there was a water leak over the new line by the airport, or no?
Yes, there was a water leak there, but it was not the new line.
Oh.
When, as that line was being constructed, the city put in a bypass, which was just like a 1-inch poly. And that 1-inch poly was on the surface, so it may have gotten run over or something like that, and got a pinhole. So, but, yeah, it has nothing to do with the new line though.
Yeah, that's what I thought, a C900 is.
Yeah, no.
Nice.
You know, for what we have in town, C900 is pretty, unless there's not proper bedding, it's been pretty reliable. What we've had
Usually
a lot-
on that C900 is those saddles.
The saddles that are not stainless steel,
Yeah,
those
that's
are,
it.
they corrode pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we've for at least the last 2 years now, everything that we've ordered or everything with any project that's been planned, we make sure we have stainless steel saddles.
Make sure on pool they put those stainless steel on the pool
Yeah.
street.
It specifies.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
it's specified, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's been a little issue, yes.
Sounds good, David.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for David on the water issues? Any other questions, Councilman?
Just got one, I don't know what's the future for putting, generators on.
We are exploring the possibility for generators. When we get to the item related to the winter storm, we're gonna have a discussion on that. I did have a conversation with Judge Rodriguez. He indicated to me that it is the county's turn to receive the small grant that is given by Texas Department of Agriculture for community development, and that he would consider contributing to a generator. We believe that the cost of the generators are gonna be anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000.
Not bad.
The well at well 8 already has a switch in preparation for connecting it to a generator, and that's the reason that we were able to react as quickly as we did once we were told by AEP that we would not have power, and we were able to bring in a generator and immediately connect it to the system. But by then our water tanks had been sucked dry and people were hoarding water, and so we couldn't keep up with the water. So a certain part of town basically pretty much always had water, and there were low areas in other places. And then as we got the other well online before the entire community got water, we were able to pretty much bring up the pressure. But at that point, we had other issues with testing and things that we need to do. But I can tell you that Cotulla was one of the first towns that was able to lift the boil water notice. I believe Dilly and Pearsall didn't lift their boil water notices till the Friday or even the Monday after the storm, like almost a week and a half. And we were able to lift our boil water notice by Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And had we had labs where we could have taken the tests on Friday, we would have lifted the boil water notice by Monday. But the labs in San Antonio were all closed because nobody had electricity. And so that is an issue that's also being looked at by the state overall, because there were many cities that were out.
When you were saying well A,
The what?
well A, is that the one over there in Martinez Park, or the one here, the
No,
old Maple?
well 8 is the one up on Crockett, and well 9 is the one by Martinez Park.
Okay,
And those two, with those two running with a generator, we can keep the entire city with water.
okay,
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at,
Okay.
those two.
okay.
Any other questions, Councilman? For David? Not David, thank you very much for that report. Any other reports on departmental reports, sir?
No, that's,
All right. Moving on to the minutes, approval of minutes, February 11th, 2021. Councilman, if you had a chance to overlook the minutes, Ms. Secretary, was there any changes made to the minutes? If not, I need a first motion to approve the minutes for February 11th, 2021.
I don't have mine.
First motion by Mr. Sertucci, I need a second.
I'll second it. I don't have mine, but there's no changes.
Yeah, there's no
I'll
changes.
second it.
Second motion was made by Mr. Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Councilman, we have some of our contractors here. I'd like to move them up on, those items are item number 8, 9, 11, 15, 16, and 17. I need a motion to approve to move these items up. First motion made by Mr. Sertucci. I need a second. Second by Mr. Reynaldo Garcia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 8, discussion and possible action on an ordinance granting to AEP Texas Incorporated its successor and assigns to non-exclusive franchise to construct, maintain, and operate lines and appurtenances and appliances for conducting electricity in, over, under, and through the streets, avenue, alleys, and public places of the city of Cotulla, Texas.
Mayor, this is something that was sent to us a few months ago. I don't recall exactly when, but late last year. And we have been in touch with AEP to negotiate a new agreement for the franchise. This is a non-exclusive franchise, so there are other franchises that exist within the city. Notably, Medina Electric has a concession with the city.
Very true.
The way that this works is the electric utility, AEP, I believe, is basically owns the lines from which you get your electric service.
Transmission and distribution.
Right, they're not actually producing the electricity. These are poles that are all over town. How you know which one is theirs and which one is somebody else's, you'd have to look at the map as to
They're
the
marked.
area. Okay.
The poles are marked.
You'd have to look real closely. And they pay a franchise fee. Mr. Dovalina spoke about that last meeting. It's in excess of $100,000 a year, and that fee is actually set forth in the civil statutes, the Public Utilities Regulatory Act. So we can't say, well, we want this. I mean, it's set by law. We're given some latitude on the terms of the agreement. In fact, the agreement that we have in Medina is a little bit different than this one. But essentially, my understanding in talking to Mrs. Parrish, who's here tonight with AEP, is that the existing agreement expired in January, and they were asking for a 30-year term. That is a decision that the council will make on how long the term is. I just wanted to remind you, and I notified their attorney that, hey, look, we just did one with Medina for 20 years, and that was done back in 2015. So, you know, the term of the agreement is up to you all. I have no opinion on that. You're not going to be able to go back and renegotiate with them on the amount that you get in the franchise fee, which is really what you're concerned with. If that changes during the term of the franchise, it's automatically adjusted by AEP and whoever else we have. I think we just have those two, right?
Well,
AEP and Medina.
Yes, but they're not the only ones that use the right-of-way. AT&T and all the other telephone and cell providers also use rights-of-way.
So, we have an agreement, that we've put together and, should be in your agenda packet. So with that, I guess I would turn it over to Mrs. Parrish, who's here tonight, if she wants to address the council.
Mrs. Parrish, would you like to address the council?
I'm Rita Parrish with AEP Council Mayor. Just the, if you'd look at the, franchise agreement, we'd appreciate, getting it signed. It has expired, but we have continued to pay the franchise fee. And we will continue to pay it. If it doesn't get passed today, we'll continue to pay it. So, does anyone have any questions?
I did have one question. The way that I wrote this was that we were going to make it effective based on the date that it expired, but I believe you said you wanted a May 1st date. Is that?
Yes.
Did I hear you right?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
and that was put in, I think, in the documents, when the attorney sent it back to you, the May 1st, because I think it's a couple of years
And I
past
probably
due.
changed it, because mine still shows January, but that's fine. I mean, I'll make the change.
Okay,
Unfortunately, we're not in City Hall, so we don't have a printer here, but the mayor can sign it, and then we can forward a scanned copy to you all whenever he signs it.
okay. Well, I had talked to Bianca,
Uh-huh.
and we actually need 2 signed originals, and then I'll send it up the food chain to get it all signed, and then y'all will receive 1 original back.
Okay. And I will make that change right now, and then I'll forward it over to her. We've been going back and forth with the red lines. I think we both have the same agreement.
Mhm.
It may be something we want to look at tomorrow. There were a few words and some changes that were made. I accepted all the changes that they sent, and that was the only thing that was different was the date. So, but I still would like to look at the 2 and make sure that we're
Correct.
talking about this.
And you had the franchise, the length of it, we had put 30 years on it, but, I mean, if y'all want to go 20, we're agreeable to the 20
Or
years.
20.
20 years?
Well, what is the recommendation?
I would recommend
Recommend 20?
that you do 20. I did have a lengthy meeting with Ms. Parrish today in our office, and I had concerns about reliability, and because of the things that have passed, you really can't blame them in particular because they're no longer involved in the generation of electricity, and after deregulation, the state basically sat on its hands and allowed these things to occur. And I remember being involved in the fight back then when it was all one entity, and you basically dealt with Central Power and Light, and you took care of everything. And so now, you have AEP with transmission and distribution. You have somebody else that sells you the electricity, and somebody else that powers up the generators. And you have people who come out in public, elected officials, kind of like the governor, who said that the reason the power went out was because we had all these wind generators that froze. Well, we have wind generators all over the country. We have them in North Dakota and South Dakota, where it freezes many times over what it does here. And their generators and their wind turbines don't freeze because they're winterized. And ours aren't. And that's a fault of the state. But the issue, I think, to us is reliability. And I wanted to make sure in our discussions that their breakers are marked so that the water wells have priority, the nursing homes have priority, the governmental buildings have priority, so that when you have a low voltage type of event, that they make sure that those places that are designated get a priority as far as coming back online. They did when they were finally able to get power back. If you know what happened or you heard what happened, this tier in this area along 468 and going back to the two water wells were the first areas in town that were activated. And so we immediately were able to start pumping even before the rest of the community got the electricity. They did that one corridor and we were able to respond. And so I just wanted to make sure that was addressed, and Ms. Parrish indicated that they were very much aware and that they would go over those areas again to make sure that they had all the right areas that needed to have priority electricity, so that in the future, when we have it again, because I think it's going to happen again,
Oh, yes.
you know, we're prepared.
Yep.
But we do recommend that you approve it, and I believe they're all the same. They present the same franchise to every city, and so all the cities approve the same contract, more or less.
Councilman, any questions for Ms. Parrish? All right, I need a first motion to approve item number 8.
With the 20-year term.
With a 20-year term, by the way, 20-year term.
So that
So
would
move.
be effective May 1st.
Effective May 1st, 2021.
21 and expiring on May 1st, 2041.
Not expiring on April 30th
No, May.
of 2022?
Well,
No,
May 1st.
May 1st.
So move.
2041.
Hopefully we'll all be
2041,
here
yeah.
when we renew this for 20 years.
I don't
You
think.
won't be here.
First motion was made by Mr. Juan Garcia.
Second.
I need a second made by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Parrish. Moving on to item number 9, presentation of financial statements by Jorge Flores. I didn't leave you to the very end, Mr. Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, first report is the sales tax collection report. For the month of March, the city collected 99,597. So for the first 6 months of the year, the city has collected 608,725, which is a 35% drop from the previous year. Next report, hotel motel. In February, the city collected 15,711. So far for the second quarter, the city has collected $110,540. Next page is the statement of revenues and expenditures, general fund on page number 1. Total revenues, $908,261. On page number 4, total expenses of $881,855 for net income of $26,406. The water sewer fund, starting on page number 5, total revenue $702,549. Next page, total expenses of $492,805 for net income of $209,743. On page number 7, the gas fund, total revenues $155,985, expenses of $81,458 for net income of $74,526. And on page number 8, the solid waste fund, total revenues $327,398, total expenses of $451,588 for a net loss of $124,189. Now, if you look at the second column, which says current actual, the total revenues for the month of February were 65,812, and total expenditures were 54,754. So it was a positive month, and the net loss is getting better. It's just that the trash truck that was purchased a couple of months ago is still causing this.
And
This
we're,
deficit.
and we're gonna bring that back with a refunding so that we can schedule the payments out. And so it'll bring it back into a positive.
Are there any questions?
No, sir.
Any questions, Councilman, for Mr. Flores? Not, Mr. Flores, thank you very much for that report.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to item number 11, discussion and possible action to approve a digital boundary map of the city of Cotulla submitted by SMB Infrastructure. Mr. Martinez?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll pass out a small version, so you can see it up close if you would like, maybe can. Couple weeks back, council approved the creation of this city map. This map is, this is a draft still, we'll be issuing a final version of this once we get approval, but essentially it shows the city limits of the Cotulla with the ETJ. You see this bubble, that's the ETJ. And this city map is the latest of what everything's been, any annexations that happened the last few years, they're all reflected on this. This is what I call the latest and greatest. The appraisal district has the same line work showing the city limits, and, this is what, once it gets approved, this is what will be put at the city staff, city hall, so that everybody can see, and maybe even post it on the website if you all do that.
Is this the map that would be used for voting as well?
Yes, it is.
Excellent.
Jorge, I'm noticing that on the right side of the map, it says McMullen County.
Oh, yes, it is, sir, that's, that's, this one, I think the ones you have don't even say draft, but it should be the draft. On this larger map, you can actually see all the streets, they were labeled, and so it gives a little better idea. We'll be generating about 3 or 4 of these, to put throughout the city or wherever they would like to have them.
We're supposed to keep a copy of this at City Hall, so we need one, you know, that one right there.
Yeah, the larger one.
Yeah, that'll work.
But once, this is a draft, and so
This is
we're
just showing the
reviewing it.
size, you can see.
we're reviewing it for changes now.
And other things we're gonna be labeling, if you see on the smaller version, we labeled the airport, you know, I'd like to label City Hall, possibly some of the school sites, different things that are, you know, particular interest, the city would like to show.
What's the yellow line on the outside? What's that?
That's the ETJ.
ETJ.
So with that, anybody that comes in to do a development, if they fall within that boundary, they have to go to the city.
Extraterritorial.
Extraterritorial
Jurisdiction.
jurisdiction is what it's called. The difference between a general law city is that the ETJ is a mile, but if you go to a home rule city, it's actually 6 miles.
Oh.
Were there many changes or any changes as far as the boundaries, the city limits? I mean, I can see part of it, like
No.
I can see it in red, but I just.
But we're clarifying where those boundaries are, because I think, in the past, there has been some confusion as to where those boundaries are, and that's what we're trying to address, with this map.
Okay.
Just like I mentioned, it reflects all the latest annexations that have been done, they've also been added on here, over the years.
Do you know the area, what the actual calculated area is of the city?
I can provide it, we have that. If you'd like for us to show that, we can add that onto the map.
It needs to,
Yeah, if you can show the
Yeah.
total area so that,
oh, well, you have the directions on the
So we also need to send it to the census because they constantly ask us for the boundaries.
I believe TxDOT as well is looking for some of this
Yes.
information.
Councilman, any questions for Mr. Martinez?
Next map, can you make it just for the city instead of the ATT?
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we were talking about at the office, is possibly zooming in.
Zoom it in, yeah.
Having another map, maybe we'll do the overall showing the ETJ, we'll do another one that zooms in a little bit more into the actual city and show a little more detail. It's a good idea, we'll do that too.
Can this be provided on the website for the public?
Yeah, we're gonna put it on the website.
It is?
That's what he said, we're gonna put it in the
Alright.
website.
Yeah, it needs to be there.
Mhm. Any other questions for Mr. Martinez? If not, I need a first motion to approve item number 11. First motion made by Mr. Santucci, I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Juan Garcia, all in favor say aye.
Right.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 15. Discussion and possible action to approve task order number 2 submitted by CDM Smith for Department of Public Works and Engineering Wastewater Treatment Plant Improvements Project.
Stacy, Marma's gonna make that presentation, for CDM Smith.
Ms. Stacy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, my name is Stacy Varna. I work with CDM Smith Engineering. And just to give you a little bit of background on this project, for everyone that maybe hasn't been here through all of this, the city actually received a loan for this project back in 2017 through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund from TWDB. So this project basically was including the wastewater line from the airport to connect in the system. And then the other part of the project is the wastewater treatment plant improvements. And so, as you're well aware, the design for the wastewater line is already ongoing. This is the second part of the project to basically do design of the improvements. So there's 3 aspects of this project. The first one is Influent pump station improvements. Basically that's to handle some of the solids, which I know we were discussing earlier. But it would be to put a new inline grinder in the system, which also would be in a precast vault and include electrical going to that. The second would be drying bed improvements. There were some other options that were discussed, but frankly, the drying bed improvements were kind of the least cost, best bang for the buck that were looked at. So the idea is to look at adding 3 to 6 drying beds to the area, and there's plenty of space out at the plant to do that. And then the third is Clarifier Improvements. And as you're likely aware, there's 3 different clarifiers at the plant. Currently, clarifier number 2 is not working. The raking mechanism is rusted and failed, and it's actually full of solids. So we'd be replacing the entire internal mechanism for that. And so basically, this design contract is for design 30, 60, 90, 100% design of the project. It would also include permitting of the plant, and then bidding of the project would be all the design services there. And that's basically what I have. Any questions?
On number 1, could you repeat it again, ma'am? The number 1?
Okay, yes, the inline, so you're asking about the influent pump station improvements? Okay, so we were looking at basically because of the solids, because the rags and the plastics that are received. So right now there's 3 submersible pumps in a precast concrete wet well.
Yeah.
And it's not effective as far as taking care of all the solids. So there's discussion of adding an inline grinder for that instead.
A grinder?
Grinder.
How would that, is that a mechanical or?
Yeah, it's a mechanical grinder.
Mhm.
Is that like a pump? No, sir, not pump. Or?
Es una pompa que da vuelta y lo está moviendo. And then when it comes to the surface, it floats.
And it's gonna go all the way to 32 feet down?
Yeah, that's where they go down in the well, right?
Yes.
Just one or three?
No, we already have 3 pumps. We just need something that
To
is
grind
kinda
up.
like a pre-treatment before it gets to the pump. Cause there's so much junk coming into the,
Especially the prison.
well, that's where most of it comes from.
The
And,
sheets.
and so sometimes what happens is there's so much junk that you'll have the junk and you'll have the pump down here, so the pump can't function. And so when you put the inline grinder, it would eat up all of that and make it into little pieces so that the pump is then able to work.
Would that be a separate, like, otra wet well?
No, it's
in the same-
it's in that, you repurpose that wet well.
Any other questions for Ms. Barner?
Could you name the other two, please?
Sure.
The other two?
So the drying beds?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And that was the other one, and then the clarifier improvements.
That's the,
We're doing the second clarifier that has mechanical problems at the moment.
Mhm.
And we're going to increase the number of wet wells. And the option was to, instead of doing the drying beds, to go to a belt filter press. But the belt filter press uses a lot of energy, and we felt it was more economical to do more drying beds because they're easier to handle for us.
yeah.
And so currently when we have cloudy weather or inclement weather and we run the sludge, we have a hard time getting it to dry.
Yeah.
And so we need the additional beds, and the beds, as you know, have sand.
Yeah.
And so the water filters through there, the sludge dries out, and then we take the sludge once it's dry
Pick it up.
and take it and then dump it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Councilman, any other questions? If not, thank you, Ms. Barner. I need a motion to approve item number 15. First motion is made by Mr. Sertucci. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Wait, sir,
Moving
I
on-
was gonna ask, no ultraviolet? It's too expensive
No.
for chlorination, for disinfection?
No, what David was telling you today is that we're gonna, the chlorine contact chambers that we currently have are probably also gonna require the forced cleaning that is
Ventilation.
being required for the others, as a matter of safety.
Yeah.
And the issue with the SCBA's for getting in there and working. The solid waste emits carbon dioxide, and if you get in a close confined area, it can kill you. And so we have to have masks and the same thing the fire guys have
Respirate.
in order to prevent our employees from getting sick. In fact, in another job that I had, I witnessed 2 individuals die in a hole where they went down 30 feet and they ran out of air. And they had to be pulled out by fire. So it's very dangerous as well.
All right. Moving on to item number 16, discussion and possible action to accept loan grant from Texas Water Development Board for the planning and design of Mustang Creek.
On the agenda for the Texas Water Development Board of February the 10th, there was an item presented to the Texas Water Development Board where they approved a request from the city of Cotulla for $149,500 in financial assistance, which consisted of $142,000 in a loan and $7,500 in a grant from the Flood Infrastructure Fund And this is the first time that the Texas Water Development Board, in fact, starts a program related to flood infrastructure. This is a new area for them that has been designated by the legislature. The part of this whole project dealing with flood planning has now been initiated this year. The city of Cotulla is a part of the Nueces River Flood Planning Group. I was fortunate to have been named by the Texas Water Development Board to the Flood Planning Group for the Nueces River Valley. It goes all the way from Uvalde all the way to Corpus Christi. There's 13 members on the board. I am the vice chair for the group, and I represent Cotulla in the group. And I believe it's the first time that we've ever had representation on a regional level, either for the flood water planning or for the flood planning. And so I hope that we'll be able to get some leverage out of that. And we're in the process of moving forward. 3 years ago, we started with a project purchasing and trying to fix Mustang Creek so that we can begin to shrink the floodplain to a smaller area, so that when young people or older people have the financial capabilities of building a house and they go and get a mortgage, that they don't end up having to pay for flood insurance, which is about $3,500 a year, and they add that to their mortgage. So what we're proposing to do is we're proposing to do the planning and design of Mustang Creek and the area that was purchased in order to begin to try to leverage monies from FEMA to allow us to reconstruct and to do the necessary improvements that we need to make in order to do all of this and make it happen. It's a small loan, but it's a big step because we're one of the first in the state to be able to receive that type of assistance. And Ms. Barma actually did the application for us, and she has been very successful helping the city with the Texas Water Development Board. She is a former staffer at Texas Water Development Board, and she knows and networks with a lot of the people there. And so we've been very fortunate to have her helping us out and to get these things going.
Yeah, she's helped us get 2 water development boards grants.
Is everything, we
Or
bought all
bonds,
the
bonds.
land that we need?
I think the only tracts of land that are still left to be purchased have some legal complications, and they're related to, if I remember correctly, on how the land was divided and how it was described in the process. And I want to say one of them also is is it contract for sale? Is that the right term?
Contract for deed.
Contract for deed. And so this man was holding it, and I believe the person that he sold it to got a lien, and so it kind of affected all of his property. And so we're gonna have to figure out in court how to make that happen, but it's the last piece of land that we need to acquire.
That was
But-
part of that condemnation stuff that Betsy was working on?
Yes, but we actually have to go back because it's tied up with the IRS lien, and the only way that you can clean it is to have the court issue the order. And so that is the final piece in that area. But in any,
But they are willing to sell though, just
oh yeah, he was willing to sell and then we found out about the complications. It's after when you're purchasing a property, one of the things that the title company does is it does a title search to see if there's any liens or any taxes or anything. And that's when we discovered that lien that was there. And it's not by the original owner of the property, who is the person who is willing to sell the portion of the creek, but it's the person that he sold the other piece on the other side of the creek to. And that's kind of messed it all up.
So what happens is, typically we think of condemnation as a forced taking of property, but sometimes owners who are willing to sell it to you understand that in order to clear up the mess in title, it needs to go through that route. And, the IRS will get paid first, believe me.
Yeah.
Before anybody else does, and I'm not sure where we're at with that, but we will get it. It's just, it may take a while.
In any case, we came to council about 6 months ago and asked to submit for the loan and grant, and now we've gone through that whole process, and they have notified us that they are ready, and that they have approved our application. Right after this, you'll have our financial advisors and their attorney basically giving you a calendar on how we would proceed forward. It's a different line item, which is line item 17. But you would first have to approve item 16 to begin that process. FEMA is the agency that provides assistance during hurricanes, during flood events, during disasters. In fact, they're trying to provide assistance now for winter damage from the storms. And people in our county and in our city, if they have suffered damages from the windstorm, need to apply for those damages so that they can be helped by FEMA. FEMA will not give you a grant if you've not developed a plan to fix the creeks in your city. And so this is the beginning process of that plan to be able to qualify for those grants that they provide.
Any other questions, Councilman? Now they see the first motion to approve item number 16.
So move.
First motion is made by Mr. Juan Garcia. I need a second. Second by Mr. Sartuche. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 17, discussion and possible action on a proposal submitted by Tijerina Galvan Lawrence LLC, presenting a plan of finance and notice of intent for the Water Development Board loan commitment.
Mr. Juan Aguilera, our bond attorney, is gonna make that presentation. Mr. Tijerina had his brother-in-law in a serious accident and was not able to attend the meeting, and so he sent Mr. Aguilera to the meeting today.
Mr. Aguilera, thank you for being here.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Juan Aguilera, and I work with the law firm of Escamilla and Ponick, and we serve as the city's bond attorneys. And what I have prepared today is a resolution of notice of intention, which I will discuss. But as Mr. Dovalina has mentioned, Robert Tijerina called me yesterday and said, hey, do me a favor and see if you can go ahead and make the presentation, which is the plan of finance. And I'm just going to be reading it pretty much verbatim, and if there's any questions, I'm pretty sure I could be able to answer them. But the plan of finance was sent by Robert, and I don't know if it's included in the, but I can go through it. It's only 2 pages, and what we've got is, as has been mentioned by Mr. Dovalina, there's already been a lot of groundwork that has been done by Stacy Barna and the staff, Mr. Dovalina, a bunch of people in trying to acquire the $142,000 loan and also a grant monies. And so part of the, once the application process goes through, then the next thing that's going to be is the legal and the financial analysis and the process that needs to go through in order to be able to get the loan. From the information that Mr. Tijerina has provided me is, again, we're looking at a par amount of a loan of approximately $142,000. We're looking at the project fund deposit or funds to go directly for the project fund of approximately $124,100. There's a cost of issuance of $17,900. So we're looking at $142,000 overall for the project, for the loan portion and the loan amount. And again, Mr. Dolina mentioned a grant portion, so that's a separate and apart from the loan agreement. This $142,000, we're looking at having an average annual debt service, which is estimated to be about $14,200 per year, and that's from fiscal years ending 2022 through 2031. So we're looking at about a 10-year term, and this the analysis here assumes a 0% interest rate. So it's a $142,000 loan, but no interest that will be paid by the city.
Those are some of the perks that we get when we go to the Texas Water Development Board is 0%.
That's right, and I think that the city has done very well with the Water Development Board, and we did just last year some financings for the city. So looking at the preliminary timetable, so we've got the Water Development Board met on February the 10th. Of this year, 2021, and to approve the plan of finance for the city. Today, the city council is meeting to approve the plan of finance, which I just am presenting, and also to go ahead and authorize, if it's the wishes of the council, to authorize that a notice be published in the newspaper and also posted in the city's website. So we're looking to publish the first notice next week, Wednesday the 17th. Then we're looking to publish the second notice as required by law the following week, which is March the 24th. And then on May the 5th, we're looking to, with the financial advisors, Tijerina, Lawrence, and Galvan, to looking into set the interest rate or to establish the 0% on May the 5th. And we're looking to come back to council to sell the certificates of obligation in your May meeting, which is May the 13th, Thursday the 13th. And Georgia, that is correct, right? Because we were in discussion. So the regular meeting, Mayor, is going to be the second Thursday? That's correct? Okay, good, because we had a mistake here on Robert thought it was the 6th. So, and we're looking to close on the financing approximately, if we move up a week, it's probably around June the 10th is when we're looking to close. So by the 10th, the city will receive its funds. We expect to be able to receive the funds. Are there any questions on the financial advisors, even though I'm not your financial advisor, but any questions on the time of the plan of finance and the loan amount and again, 0% interest, what we discussed? Second thing that it's on the agenda, that's all part of the agenda item number 17. As we've done in the past for the city of Cotulla, we've done, and this is a requirement of law, we just did it most recently last year. Before the city can be able to enter into a loan with the Texas Water Development Board, the law requires that a notice be published in your local newspaper once a week for 2 consecutive weeks. So what we have prepared, and this is customary, again, this is what we did last year, is to approve and authorize the city secretary to publish a notice of intention in the local newspaper. The notice will read that the city will consider on May 13th, I said the 20th, right? I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry, May 13th is correct. On May 13th, you will consider the sale or to enter into a loan agreement with the Water Development Board. And we will put down that the city, the certificates of obligations will not exceed a principal amount of $150,000. And this is in discussion with Stacy and with your staff and with your financial advisor. We know that the loan amount is $142,000, but there is also a grant component. And I've been doing this for over 30 years, and a lot of times these numbers may move one way or the other. If we publish $150,000, it says an amount not to exceed. So it's okay to come under the $150,000, but you cannot be over the $150,000. So if, for example, and this is why we're recommending 150, is if we have 140, if we place 142, which we anticipate that's what the loan amount's going to be, and if for some reason the Water Development Board comes back and says, oh, there's an additional 2,000, an additional 5,000 or something that we could go ahead and loan you, we would have to start all over again and republish the notice. So again, $150,000 is a ceiling. It's an amount not to exceed, but we're looking to be $142,000. So this notice will appear in the newspaper. It's payable through ad valorem taxes and the net revenues from the water system. And the city council, once we get to that point of the sale, the way that the documents are written is that the council will, on an annual basis, when you're setting your budget and you're setting your tax rate, you will decide how it is that you're going to make this payment. We're not talking a lot of money, $14,200, but even though, just wanted to tell you, even though people will read and says that there is a pledge of on the taxable property within the city and a lien and pledge of the certain revenues derived from the city's operation of the city's water and sewer system, the city can decide, every year how they're going to do this. And I think what you all have been able to do is to pay all of these loans through the water and sewer. So,
Right.
So just wanted to give you an FYI, just so you'll know. So, Mayor, if I can have 2 different motions, and we could start first with the plan of finance, a motion to adopt the plan of finance for this loan for the Water Development Board as presented would be good, and then I'll come back to the second one.
Motion to adopt the plan as presented for the plan of finance. I need a motion to approve that. First motion is made by Mr. Sartucci. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Juan Garcia. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
And the second
And the
part
second
of the
part?
second part of the agenda item is the notice of intention. So as we've done in the past, and it's what is required by law, the city is required to publish the notice, this particular notice, 2 times, once a week for 2 consecutive weeks. And here you are authorizing or requesting the city secretary to go ahead and publish the notice.
I need a motion to approve the second part of item number 17, which is the public notice. I need a first motion.
So moved.
First motion by Mr. Sartucci, second by Mr. Juan Garcia. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, and we'll be seeing you Thursday, May the 13th, at once the notices are publicized as required by law.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juan.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 18. discussion and possible action to approve the 2019 financial audit submitted by the LaSalle County Appraisal District.
This is an item that I provided to you just so that you have the information. We really don't need to approve anything. It was approved by their board, but I wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to read it, and so I put it on the agenda so we could provide it to you in the packet. And so all of you have a copy of the Appraisal District's audit for 2019. But it really doesn't require any action.
No action needed for item number 18. Hopefully you guys have a chance to go over it. Moving on to item number 19, discussion and possible action to approve the sale of certain inoperable, salvage, and/or damaged municipal trucks to the highest bidder in the manner prescribed by the city council.
We have been able to, I think the metal prices have gone up, I wanna say to 4 cents a pound or something like that, and we have some old junk vehicles. I provided you with the list. We're not able to fix them anymore, and so we wanna go ahead and get your permission to salvage them. We take that money and we redeposit it back into the city funds as revenues to the street department or the general fund, and it becomes a miscellaneous line item. And we would ask your permission to go ahead and dispose of the items that we have identified in that particular list.
Councilman, any questions on item number 19 on that?
So you're not gonna do away with that old garbage truck, no? That Chevy, that old,
Which one?
es una que está parqueada ahí. It's parked there.
I wanna say there's a truck there that doesn't belong to us.
No, that belongs to us.
Huh?
The one I'm saying, it does belong to us.
A Chevy?
Yeah,
Does it work?
no,
Why keep it?
That would
No,
be
it's
good.
Is it a Chevy?
I think it's a Chevy or a GMC. I repaired it once when I had the sanitation.
I need to, is it on the list?
No me fija. I don't think it is.
No,
What year is it?
I didn't see a garbage
I don't
truck
know
on
what
the
year it
list.
is, but
No, it would be,
that would be a good backup. I used to use it for a backup. It was good.
no, we have a, is it a red one?
No, it's a white one.
White one?
Mm.
Yeah, it's.
No trae air condition, no
it-
trae nada.
It's not on this list.
Huh?
It's not on this
Okay,
list.
good. Cause I had installed new hydraulics, but
For the back?
yeah,
Back part.
No,
I mean, it would be good for backup.
yeah, these are, I wanna say like the one at the very top, I think it was bought at an auction. It wasn't even bought new. It was a little Blazer that was running around. I don't remember who's the one that used to use it.
Was
But-
it silver?
No, it's a
Gray.
brown, what is
Gray?
it?
Brown, gray, yeah.
Brown.
Era la que traía Marty, no?
Who had it?
Juan Carlos used it for many, many years.
Marty también.
Marty también.
Yeah.
All right, well, if you guys had a chance to look over the list, I need approval.
So
On
moved.
item number 19, first made by Mr. Gonzalez, I need a second. Second by Mr. Sertucci, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay, motion carries. Moving on to item number 7, discussion and possible action on an ordinance of the city of Cotulla, Texas, authorizing the city to coordinate with the Texas Department of Transportation in amending the alternative highway routes for the heavy trucks traversing around the city of Cotulla, providing a purpose truck relief route subject to TxDOT approval as applicable, prohibiting certain heavy trucks from traveling outside the designated truck route relief, except under limit circumstances, declaring a public purpose, providing a repeller, providing a penalty, incorporating recitals, providing for severability, requiring public, and setting an effective date.
Mayor, this was something that Bianca provided to me for inclusion on the agenda for this meeting. This essentially would alter the current truck route, where there would be.
One-way pairs?
Right, there would.
No.
No?
No, the
Sorry,
current truck route.
Okay.
Where these trucks that are coming in from Highway 97, 624, and 468.
468.
Are gonna be required to take the truck relief route around the city. There are some exceptions, for example, deliveries and things of that sort. Currently, they're forced to come down the
Business.
access road here to
Business
Business
35, yes.
81 and out. That's not gonna be an option anymore. They will not be permitted there unless it's local deliveries. There's some signage requirements I think that we have to provide. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but I think the beginning step in this is to pass the ordinance. There actually is a criminal penalty if they're stopped, for driving on a prohibited roadway. As far as I know, everything is, I actually haven't driven down the bypass. I guess it's operating now.
Yes.
So, that's what we're talking about, tonight.
Mayor, I had the good fortune to attend the Commissioners Court meeting on Monday, and the judge asked me if I would bring it to City Council to put it on the agenda. There is a concern that we're still having a lot of sand trucks and some of these other trucks that could very easily use that route in order to avoid them coming in through Business 35 going up 97. And I told them that I would bring it to you. We were there, just for information, we were there presenting an item related to the airport lease for the construction of the new hangar, which the judge and the Commissioners Court approved.
Excellent.
And so we're moving forward with that particular project. I did indicate that I would put it on the agenda for discussion. If we can keep large trucks out of the smaller traffic within the community, it's a safety issue and it's better for the community, and I would certainly recommend that we move forward with it. We would need to pass it here, and then we would take it to TxDOT, and the county would need to concur because currently it's their road. As we move forward, eventually the city will probably do an annexation, and that road will become part of the city. But currently it's still under the control of the county, and the county has, I think is trying to get some sort of maintenance agreement with TxDOT to continue the maintenance on that particular roadway.
Who's gonna enforce it, sir?
The sheriff?
Any questions on item number 7? If not, I think this would be a good thing for the heavy equipment to be moved to that new loop. So I need a first motion to approve item number 7. First motion is made by Mr. Sartuche, second is made by Mr. Juan Garcia. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 12, discussion and possible action to approve a contractor's application for payment number 9 submitted by Cell Construction Management LLC in the amount of $47,479.88 for the Cotulla Lasalle County Airport water main.
Items 12 and 13 are the applications for draws on a contract that had been previously approved by council, and we, as a habit, make it a point to bring to council every time that we have a draw, so that council is aware that we're making a draw. You originally approved the contract. and started the construction of the project. And then as each draw is done, we bring it to you so that you know that we're drawing down the money and you're aware of where we're at as far as the completion of the project. Item 13 is another item related to another draw. And these two items are probably the last draws that'll come before you. And we have one additional draw that'll be the final draw where we pay the amount of retainage that is held back in the contract, which is 10% of the total contract plus whatever the remaining balance is. And I believe that's gonna be like $129,000 in that range. But if you would approve those particular contracts, I was explaining to Councilman Sertuche that the way this works is we bring these two items to you, you approve the items. Tomorrow morning, the outlays for these amounts of money are sent back to the state. The state has an engineer. That engineer reviews what you approved. He looks at the project to make sure that the quantities that are being shown on the project are in fact in place. He then approves the submittal. He sends it to their finance department. The finance department then sends a letter to the bank that is holding this money, and they in turn send a wire transfer to the city. Georgia looks for the wire transfer. Once we get the email, she then cuts the check to the contractor, and we do that for each and every draw that is done on the contract. And that way you have a set of different parties, none related to each other, that are looking at that. So you have our engineer, our staff, the Texas Water Development Board engineer, their staff, then goes to the bank that holds the money, and then they send the money to the city. Once the city is notified that the money is there, we then cut the check. And it's on every loan that goes through the Water Development Board. That process is followed. When we do USDA loans, the same process is followed. There is somebody from USDA that is always present. When we do a draw, it gets reviewed by USDA. They then notify the bank to issue the money. The money is wire transferred the same way. Very similar process to what we do. And it's on all of those loans that we have had in the past. We've done the same process. And so it's very meticulous, but it makes sure that funds are used for the purposes that are intended, and that the work that needs to be done is in place, and we have all the inspections that need to take place in order to facilitate that money. And we recommend that you approve both items 12 and 13.
I need a motion to approve item number 12.
So move.
First motion is made by Mr. Juan Garcia. Second motion is made by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 12, number 13, discussion and possible action to approve a final contractor's application for payment number 10, submitted by Cell Construction Management LLC in the amount of $129,905.30 for the Cotulla Lasalle County Airport water main. I need approval for item number 13.
Move.
First motion is made by Mr. Garcia. I need a second. Second by Mr. Sertuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 14, discussion and possible action, accept and approve the Cotulla LaSalle County Airport Water Main Project.
David is gonna, do the presentation. He has been doing the local inspection, and of course, the, engineers with Tetra Tech have also been doing the inspection. Once you accept the, once you accept the substantial completion of the project, David is gonna notify the Texas Water Development Board that we are ready for a final inspection. They then send an engineer to come and inspect the entire water line. He goes back and sends a letter of approval. We then issue the final letter or the final draw for them to close out the project. There are a series of things that they need to do, but I'll let David explain it to you.
Okay.
What is still missing?
Well, I was gonna start on the track of the project, the water line, so it started off as a 12-inch line at Engineer Lane, cross Engineer Lane and headed up 97 towards the airport. Once it gets to Airport Boulevard, it goes up Airport Boulevard, and at that time it's an 8-inch line. It travels all the way to the end of Airport Boulevard. Then it turns left, travels down the runway, probably about 600 feet, and then it cuts to the left again. It goes across the Newman property. All the way across the Newman property, it goes back to the bypass, and it circles around and comes back down and connects to itself. That section of the project, which was the original project, is completed. Inspection of the project, they did everything they were supposed to do. Of course, they for the taps, they've put in the stainless steel. They've already done those stainless steel, saddles for the tap. The bedding, they brought in sand, they put bedding under the line, they've done everything they needed to do on that part. It's been covered. They have one warranty issue, which is to pick up some rocks, which is under, it'll be a warranty issue, and they'll take care of that part. Back T sampling, we got 3 back T samples in different areas of the line. It passed. Everything on this original project has been satisfied and is complete. Then of course we get into the change order. One change order has been completed, and you have 2 others that are currently under construction. But the change orders do not pertain to the original project, which is done. So. Any questions at all?
And after that, it'll be our responsibility, right?
Yes.
Yes, after that it's our responsibility.
Well, the water line has a year warranty.
Oh.
So there was, I will say there was a considerable amount of rock in that area, in the airport and Newman Ranch area, but it was taken out. They had piled that rock up. The street department took it to the brush collection, and we have piled that rock over there. There was 12 inches of bedding under that line all the way around. So this contractor that we use usually does a very, very good job.
Did it put a warning tape on top?
They did tracer wire.
Tracer
Yes, there's
wire.
tracer wire across the top of the line.
That's good.
Any other questions, Councilman? Not, I seek a first motion to approve item number 14. First motion is made by Mr. Sartucci. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gonzalez. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, David. I need a 2-minute recess. Moving on to item number 10, discussion and possible action of Winter Storm Yuri ramifications.
We've kind of discussed some of the things that happened. And I was being polite because of the presence of the lady from AEP. But had we known that the light was not gonna be coming back on, our staff would have had generators that very first day when we went out. And we were not notified till late that evening that the power was not gonna come back. Because going into the thing, our tanks were full. During the night, our tanks were empty. We then found out the next day that power was not coming back. We immediately made arrangements to have a generator placed at well number 8. We already had the switch. We called the electrician to make the connections. We tried to initially connect to our own gas system. Our own gas system, our line was too small, and we couldn't power up the generator, so we had to buy propane gas. Our crews worked for 3 days, probably slept 3 or 4 hours. We did everything that we could in order to make sure that we could restore the water. And I want to commend our crews for having worked in extremely bad weather. And there was a nice picture of one of our guys working during the storm in the Frio current the following week. And it's a testament to the work that they did and the things that we had to go through. We also had to connect some people to gas without actually going through the office because we didn't have power to get onto the machines or anything. And so we manually connected certain people in town to be able to get heat into their homes. And in fact, they used the gas in lieu of electricity in order to keep their homes warm and trying to help all of the people. There was a great deal of confusion in the community as to who needed to do what or whatever. The city and the county many years ago under state law had to sign an emergency management agreement. The emergency management agreement that the mayor signed with the district emergency management coordinator out of Del Rio, who works for DPS, and the county judge all signed that agreement. The agreement says that the county judge will be the emergency management coordinator. There is an emergency management team. We attend all those meetings. We discuss at those meetings how we're going to respond to the different emergencies. This one happened to be a little bit bigger than most, but the community overall acted very well. And in the management agreement, it specifies what we as a city are going to do. And basically what we did was we kept our gas going. Our gas never faltered. And in many cases, people that were connected to gas were warm in spite of the fact that they lost electricity. We were able to restore water within 2 days, even though we had to put up a boil water notice. fully engaged by the third day with water. The reason we had to put the boil water notice out, and all of our staff went out there and hand delivered a flyer to each one of the homes, because we were required to do that by text, by TCEQ. And any time that the pressure drops below 30 pounds in the water line, we are required to put out that boil water notice. As I said before, we were ready by Thursday with full water, but we couldn't get to the labs. We took the samples, we took them on Monday. We lifted the boil water notice on Tuesday. The cities to the north and elsewhere were not able to lift their boil water notices till Friday or Monday of the following week. So our staff did exceptional work, and the things that we are required to do in support of everybody else, we did. We also continued to pick up garbage at all of the locations, the restaurants, the hotels, everybody else. And we continued all of our services, and where we were asked to go, we did. After the storm, when we started connecting everybody, as David told you already, we had something like 250 calls. People ran out of supplies. Ace Hardware and Keck didn't have the supplies needed. People were getting on Facebook asking for help, and some people that had parts in their homes provided them with those parts. I heard a story today from one of our employees that somebody put on Facebook that he needed certain parts and that he had them, and he personally went and delivered it to the man so that they could go ahead and do that. I also heard another story today that I have not heard, that there were some young men in the community, and it's unfortunate that I don't know their names, otherwise I would say their names, but they went individually to houses that they knew had problems with elderly, and they personally fixed those problems for free. And I wish we could find out who they are so that we could bring them here to City Council to recognize.
We know their name.
We know it.
I don't know who they are.
Fernando Gonzalez.
Fernando Gonzalez and his dad, Jose Gonzalez. Those two individuals.
I think there were some other people as well.
Noe Sanchez también.
Yeah, there were different people in the community that kind of came up and did what they had to do, and you've got to commend those people for doing it.
Correct.
Because nobody's pushing them to do it, and it shows a community that's united.
I donated a lot of parts.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
And so my hat's off to those people that did all that help, and but I know that it was a bad situation. It could have been much worse. Unfortunately, with everybody helping and doing the things that we did in those 3 days, so far our calculations are that we spent close to $100,000 in doing everything that we did to make it happen. We are going to lose some additional money because some of the people that had leaks were not aware that they had leaks, and so I've seen some water bills where somebody normally pays $59 with $500 bills, and so we're gonna look at those things. We're gonna make some adjustments, and then we're gonna get a total figure, and we're gonna provide it to you so that you have a report. There are some funds that are available as emergency grants for utilities in small towns from rural USDA that we are in the process of applying so that we can recover some of the money that we put out. And I believe that we are one of the last counties to be included in the disaster declaration, because I wasn't sure that initially it was not in the disaster declaration by the president, and I know that the judge and the commissioners were trying hard to get the congressman and those people to include it in the declaration so that we can qualify for some FEMA money. There is a survey that you can do that's available on the Texas Department of Emergency Management website that I encourage all of the people in the community who have suffered damages to fill out those surveys and send them in. The sooner you send them in, the sooner FEMA will be able to come into the community and do an assessment and help out the people with grants to fix whatever problems they initially had. And this is gonna be continuing, that we will bring you back a report so that you are aware of everything that's going on. We have started looking at generators. We have had some discussions, like I said before, with the judge, and he has very graciously indicated that the county is willing to help, so that in the future we have generators
at least in two.
to run the water side. We already have some generators on the sewer side, and we need to fine tune those generators, but we already have those capabilities, and we just need to add a couple of pieces. But other than that, you can be proud of your city staff, and you can be proud of the utilities that you have continued to improve, because I don't think any of the other cities around us have the kind of systems that we currently have.
Councilman, anything you guys wanna add?
I do. Sir, what backup do you have? Because the vehicles were running out of fuel in those days. And since we pay with cards, or we use cards, no electricity, what's the backup?
We don't carry emergency fuel, and that is one of the considerations that we're looking at.
Probably tanks,
Huh?
bulk tanks?
We used to have
Yeah.
a tank at the yard one time, man.
Well, we had a bulk tank, and the reason we went to the cards is because the cards provide a greater amount of accuracy. If somebody goes to a pump and, as an example, puts in premium instead of unleaded, I immediately get a notice on my computer, and I know who is the one that put the gas in and what vehicle it went in. Before that, when you had the bulk tanks, you don't have that kind of accuracy. And so this is a much better system that has saved us a great deal of money. But the fallacy is that in this particular case, where the service stations were inoperable because of the lack of electricity, we do need to have an emergency supply that we're able to access in an emergency. And so we're looking at that, and that's a simple resolve, to where we can keep 1,000 gallons, 500 gallons, something in that range.
Cause I called Dan's Golden West, and they're willing just to not even rent the tanks, just.
We have an account with them.
Yeah, and they're not charging, we won't charge to install, we won't charge to anything, just we'll put them there, and cause it's gonna happen again.
Well,
We will have another,
well, I'm sure that that's the case, and we're.
and Commissioner Ramirez was willing to, give them fuel to finish the routes. Cause one truck was half, one other had no más, a quarter of a tank, and, you know, so that's my question. Do you have something in place?
I just told you that we're gonna create an emergency supply, in order to be able to deal with those emergencies.
Because I don't know how David, all his vehicles got fuel those days.
Well, because we knew when AEP, opened up that one breaker that they
Mhm.
were gonna open up, and we had a 3 or 4 hour notice. And so what we did was we went and lined the trucks up at the gas station.
But that was what, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Well, it was the day after, something like that. So we went ahead and did that.
We just need to be prepared because it'll happen again.
Yes, but.
It's gonna happen again.
But this emergency is like no other emergency
No, of
that
course
you've
not.
seen in the last 30, 40 years.
Of course not.
Yeah,
Or maybe even more, because it was
But-
really cold.
but it is,
14 degrees,
it is gonna change, and it is gonna happen again, I think.
especially in summer when we start pulling all those electricity.
What?
In summer.
Yeah, but it's not cold in the summer.
Yeah.
Pero,
Yeah. But I understand the issue, and that's
Yes.
why we're looking at we're looking at the things that we did right, and we're looking at the things that we need to improve, and we're gonna do that.
maybe by next meeting have some kind of plan or update
We
on
could-
the procedures or whatever you're coming up with.
We'll probably have a discussion.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
We'll probably have, discussions, cause we do
Mhm.
have emergency management meetings, and we're probably gonna be looking at everything through those emergency management meetings. They're held at the Emergency Management Center here just down the street.
To be quite honest with you, I mean, when I heard it was gonna snow on Friday, it's not gonna snow. This is Cotulla. When you hear there's a hurricane coming, it's not gonna come in. This is Cotulla. And when something really does come in, everybody's like unprepared. I include myself in that, just so you know, cause we never had anything like that happen here.
No?
So, I think, the points that you brought up were very good. I think we need to discuss this even more for better preparation for our employees and to better serve our community as well. I think we did an awesome job, like Mr. Doalina did. I commend our staff. Our staff did really good. They never stopped working, especially with 3, 4, 5 hours sleep. I know, Mr. David Wright only got maybe 4 hours of sleep, maybe one day. Thank you for your service there, sir. Thank you very much. And everybody, all as a whole, our city business just kept on going, and we provided the service that we could, that we every day we should provide to our community, and I strongly believe that we did that, you know, so I commend all of our staff for that. So
I
if
don't
there's
know
no,
if somebody else has something to add, other councilman.
Councilman, would you like to add anything, Mr. Tucci?
He brought up a good idea,
Yeah.
but, I hope it's, both kind of fuels, diesel and gas, and the amount of probably 1,000 gallon tank.
And it will be.
Probably be good, but,
And it will be with discussions as to, and agreements, I'm sure
Right.
that we can come in, you know, with an excellent plan.
Well, at least the first step is like, the generators to be placed at 8 and 9 wells. That'd probably be the number one priority, in my opinion.
That
And
is
all
number
that's
one.
gonna happen, it's gonna take
Yeah,
time, take time.
It's
They're
gonna,
need work-
it's
need
gonna
working
happen,
on
and
it.
that's why we're bringing it up.
Yeah,
but-
Yes.
It's gonna
That's
happen,
But
we'll have time, we'll have.
it is
time.
gonna
And
take.
that's the way it's supposed to be, little by little.
But you do have some money coming in from the CARES Act, and, that we may be able to access.
To access and use for
David?
that.
Just with what you're saying and what you're talking about right now, you know, if we do ever have something like this happen again, we are gonna be more prepared for it. I feel like the city, ourselves, we should somehow isolate a single company to where we will be priority for a generator. So that we have a conversation with that company and say, okay, if something happens, you guarantee to have us a generator until we get generators. If we have something like that
What was the name of that company that you used?
It was, I'm sorry, I don't have it.
That's fine.
I have to get it for you.
It's Blue Wave, or it's got a weird name.
It was Blue Rome that.
Blue Rome.
He was the one that helped facilitate.
They're from here, right? They're
No.
Yeah,
stationed.
he's from here. The generators came out of Dilley. Prior to contacting him, every big company in the state we called and nobody had generators.
Yeah, probably be a good idea to have like a yearly,
Like a retainer.
yes,
Something.
Or at least 2 generators.
yeah, for sure.
Right.
too.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
it is gonna
if
be
we
two,
have
sir.
If we have an issue like
It is.
we did, we have many broken lines in the city, it requires 2 wells. If all the water's out, it's gonna require 2 wells to get us back into service within a
Mhm.
few hours.
Correct.
If we have storage and we have water, 1 well will handle it. You know, as long as we don't have too much loss,
Yeah.
so.
Councilman, any further questions? I know that you guys, or everyone here, wants to see a discussion on planning, and that will come in another meeting, and there'll be more discussions and more discussions till we arrive to a contingency plan on that, so. I need approval on item number 11. I seek a first motion. First motion is made by Mr. Sertucci. I need a second.
Number 10.
Yes, I'm sorry, item number 10, that is correct.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gonzalez, all in favor say aye.
Alright.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Going all the way to item number 20, closed session, text dot government code and section 551.071,
stay
1
here.
and 2, airport sewer line assessment.
Easement.
I'm sorry, easement. I'm sorry, let me give you the time. The time is 9:01. All right, everyone, it's 9:17. No action was taken on item number 20, which is closed session. Moving on to item number 21, which is open session. City Council will reconvene into open session to discuss and take possible action on closed sessions items 20A. At this time, Councilman, I believe we want to instruct staff to move forward on the negotiation of the Garcia property. Is everybody in concur with that?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve item number 21.
So moved.
First motion is made by Mr.
Second.
Gonzalez. I need a second by Mr. Sartuche. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 22. It is now 9:18. Meeting is adjourned.